Hey guys, how you doing? Right now I'm watching a 1963 movie, Free, White, and 21. And this is about a Swedish woman coming to the United States without actually um, as a visitor, I believe, and an illegal immigrant. Okay. This is wow. This is well ahead of its time. A year after I was born, and they were dealing with illegal immigration way back then. Now, the what the movie's about is the whole movie is this court um, trial in front of a jury in which a white or Caucasian, rather Swedish woman is accusing a man of color rape. And a lot of the movie is set in flashback and from both perspectives, hers and his. Much the same as in that All in the Family episode between Mike, was it Mike? Yeah, it was Mike and Archie about the refrigerator man. And each had his own perspective on it, which was totally different. Now, what was, is in all cases, in any issue, there are always three sides. There's one side, the other side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. So, we listen to her side, we listen to his side. Now, somewhere in the middle is the truth. Now, I'm at the point in this movie where both lawyers are presenting closing arguments. And I was just watching this, and I think what's being said by the defendant's lawyer bears notice that I wanted to share with you guys because what are we dealing with these days? And this is really interesting that this is back in 1963. So, you're in for a wild ride right here. And a lot of wow, okay? So here we go. The closing arguments.
May it please the court. Mr. Tyler. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I thank you for your time this week. I live in this community. I have all my life. I have a girl, 18, University of Texas, and another, 15. I believe that the rape law should be maintained. I have stood at the bar of justice frequently, representing many kinds of men accused of crime, and I am not ashamed of it. God help us. But the power of the state is not checked by the juries and the lawyers who have the courage to stand up and fight for the individual's rights. There aren't too many of them left. Now, these gentlemen here, they are honorable too. If Greta May says that she was raped, then they believe Greta May. She was raped. Nothing else can be true. It doesn't make any difference that there wasn't a mark on her. It doesn't make any difference that the picture they took of her the next night showed that she was not bruised all over. It doesn't make any difference that the picture of old Ernie there, taken the next night, showed not a mark. And where did they find old Ernie? On his way to Mexico? Hiding in the bushes with the bloodhounds baying at his heels? No. Old Ernie was at home. Oh, and that dress they bought for her. Just wanted to keep her warm. Why didn't they buy her a coat? I submit to you that that dress was indecent just as she was. White trash. Now, if the white trash of this country, and thank goodness there isn't too much of them, if they want to consort and lead the kind of life they want, fine. But when they come before an American jury in these United States of America, in Texas, and ask you to send a man to the penitentiary or to the electric chair on the testimony of a woman like that, I wouldn't convict a yellow dog on her testimony. She lied to you. She lied deliberately. There's no question about it. Who is this woman, who isn't even an American citizen, comes over to this country uninvited, an immigrant, and asks protection of our laws and customs? Are we going to apply her customs in Sweden to this country? Swimming in the nude, free love, and all that? So what was her reason in coming here? We were solving our racial problems just fine. Was she specially trained and sent here to cause upheaval? Was she sent to some special school in France or Italy? I'll leave it up to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, about that. This woman is shrewd. This woman is smart. What her motives are, I don't know. Maybe they are publicity. Maybe she does want to go to Hollywood and get into the movies. Maybe somebody wanted to see if a Negro charged with rape could get a fair trial in the South. Mr. Adkins will tell you that Greta May Hansen was a virgin. And if she was, it's bound to be rape. Now, I don't know whether she graduated that night in room 14 and got a diploma or not. It doesn't make any difference. It's all got to start somewhere. A virgin can consent just as readily as a prostitute. And that is our defense, ladies and gentlemen. Consent. She consented. I place the liberty of Ernie Jones in your hands. And I know that your verdict will be quick, will be just, and will be not guilty. And perhaps we can be rid of that woman for good. Thank you.
May it please the court. Mr. Atkins. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, perhaps I should save you this time, since Mr. Tyler has already made my arguments for me. Oh yes, we've been in court many times together, as he pointed out, over the past 11 years. And I've never heard Mr. Tyler ever ask a jury to find his client guilty. Nor have I ever heard Mr. Tyler completely satisfied with the way the state has presented its case. Now, the state's witness, in this case, the victim, is a peculiar person. She's a stranger to our shores, 22 years old, still a virgin. She can't be compared with a woman in this community. Now, on the surface, you may say that, well, she got exactly what she asked for. But you think differently when you stop and consider the peculiar personality of this child from Sweden. Now, while I disapprove, and you may disapprove, she cast her lot with the Negro race. She's a missionary, if you please, a crusader. She's carrying their banner, a soldier in their fight for freedom. She told you about it. She's proud of it. And before you're too quick to criticize, remember the examples of Eleanor Roosevelt and our own Supreme Court. Now, I believe in equal rights under the law, equal opportunities for education and for work. But I myself do not believe that the Negro and white races should mix socially. But that's my belief. Greta Mae Hansen has a different view. She volunteered herself as a freedom rider to go to Jackson, Mississippi. I couldn't help smiling when she said she integrated the bus station. And then, in explanation of it, she said, well, we walked into the waiting room and we got arrested. Now, that sure was a big integration, wasn't it? But that shows you how her mind and her heart works. Now, are you going to believe an ex-convict like Ernie Jones? Who knows what else he put in her drink besides rum and coke? Maybe even a drug. Are you going to take his story on faith alone? Or are you going to believe this girl? This girl who has suffered the tortures of the damned during this trial, whose whole story has been corroborated in every detail, who's laid her heart out on the table and let it bleed for you. This woman told you she'd never had intimacies before, had never even been molested, until she fell into the hands of Big Ernie Jones over here, the glib-tongued ex-disc jockey, the advertising man, the expert on modeling, who always carried his tape measure around with him. The doctor said, in my opinion, she was a virgin before this happened. Now, can you honestly believe that this beautiful woman carried her virginity for 22 years, traveled all over Europe and this country, and picked out you, Jones, to surrender her virginity to? The thought is absurd. It's preposterous. Old Ernie tried his wiles on this woman, this freedom rider, about the modeling and all that, but it didn't work. She didn't fall for it. So he resorted to force. That was the next step. He resorted to force. And under the believable testimony, he committed the act of rape by force on this woman. All I ask is that you be true to the oath you took to the God above, to a true verdict render, according to the law and according to the evidence. And if you do that, I believe from the bottom of my heart that you will find this man Jones guilty of the crime of rape. And I would say that life imprisonment is not one day too much for what he has done to this woman, to his race, and to this community. Or will you tap him lightly and by your verdict say that if a white woman is in a Negro hotel, she's fair game? How about that, Ernie? If a white woman acts foolishly and is in a place she shouldn't be, is it all right to rape her? If you hold that way, we will have chaos in Texas and all over the country. I ask you for a verdict of guilty. And by that verdict, you will say to this rapist and all would-be rapists, and to all of Texas and all of the world, we believe in upholding the law, apart from any prejudice, because it is by these laws and their enforcement that we remain free. Thank you. It now becomes my duty to read to you the charge under this law. The defendant stands charged by indictment with the offense of rape, alleged to have been committed in this county on or about the 28th day of September. To this charge, the defendant has pleaded not guilty. The indictment in this case alleges rape by force, threats, and fraud. However, this case is being submitted to you only upon that part of the indictment which charges rape by force. Rape by force means the carnal knowledge of a woman without her consent obtained by force. Now, if you find and believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Ernie Jones, did ravish and have carnal knowledge of the said Greta May Hansen without her consent, you will find the defendant guilty of rape as charged and assess his punishment at death or by confinement in the penitentiary for life or for any term of years not less than 5. If you do not so find and believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, then you will acquit the defendant. You are further instructed that it is not necessary that consent be in words. It may be shown by evidence of acts and conduct of the female alleged to have been raped, and if she of her own will yields her person to the defendant, that would be consent. Therefore, should you find and believe that the said intimate relations were with her consent, then you will find the defendant not guilty. You are further instructed that a statement of the female alleged to have been raped that she did not consent is not sufficient to constitute rape by force, but she must resist and use every exertion in her power, taking into consideration the relative strength of the parties and other circumstances of the case, to restrain the defendant before he can be adjudged to be guilty of rape by force. And unless he does so resist, then consent is presumed. In all criminal cases, the burden of proof is on the state. The defendant is presumed to be innocent until his guilt is established by legal evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. And in case you have reasonable doubt as to the defendant's guilt, you will acquit him and say by your verdict, not guilty. You are the exclusive judges of the facts proved, of the credibility of the witnesses, and of the weight to be given to the testimony. But you are bound to receive the law from the court, which is herein given you, and be governed thereby. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will retire to the jury room to consider your verdict. When you have reached your verdict,
Ladies and gentlemen, you are the jury. When you entered this theater, you were given a subpoena, a summons that put you in the jury box in the case of the People versus Ernie Jones. The judge has charged you to render a verdict of guilty or not guilty on a question of consent. Greta May Hansen was free, white, and 21, the age of consent. If she did not consent, then it was rape, and Ernie Jones is guilty. If she consented, then Ernie Jones is not guilty and should leave the courtroom a free man. And now weigh your conscience. Follow the instructions on your summons. See if your decision coincides with the actual verdict brought in by the jury in and for the state of Texas. You have approximately 3 minutes while the management polls you, the jury.
we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I appreciate it. I want to...
All you on the jury who say that this is your verdict, raise your right hand. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You are now excused as jurors in this case.
The criminal district court of this county in the state of Texas is now adjourned.
Call it, Harry. It's...
I'm dying.
Coffee shop still open?
They're open.
I'll be right with you.
Of course, you know she took a polygraph test.
Oh, huh?
Greta Hansen. She took a lie detector test.
Oh, yeah. I knew. Showed she was telling the truth, didn't it?
Yeah. How do you square that with a verdict of not guilty?
It's a matter of definition. In her heart, she thought she'd been raped. By Texas law, she consented. Law is the best thing we've got to go by on this earth.
For black or for white? Is it that we love Negroes more, or that we love intruders even less?
Man, there you have it. Well, I include that whole thing. Yeah, this is one heck of a movie. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.